If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite. Hi, welcome to yWrite. I'm your host, Angela Grout. Thanks for tuning in for another episode to learn why writers are writing, what they're writing, and they're going to teach us a little bit about why we should be writing our story, because we all have that story that needs to be put on paper or told verbally. So however you're going to tell your story, hopefully you're going to be watching one of our shows here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're watching it, and you'll be able to learn something too. So today we're in studio, and I have a guest in studio who's here from England. I'm going to say that because I'm going to start talking with an English accent later. But his name is Ken Bisulca, and he is an author. He is a college professor of chemistry and mathematics from Springfield, Massachusetts is where he's teaching. He's also a musician, and he's a huge fan of Gothic and graphic novels. But, of course, he's on the show because he is a writer. And he is from England. He moved here to America in his 20s. And he became fascinated with mysteries. And we're going to talk about murder and mystery. He has writers who have influenced him, like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Robert Fleming. And we're going to talk to him about that. He uses his knowledge of different languages and dialect to give his books authenticity. He is the author of Blood in Nottingham. And, you know, besides writing English murder mysteries, he's also written a mathematics textbook. So, maybe we'll be talking about that too, because maybe one of you out there want to write a textbook. We'll see. So I want to really welcome him very warmly with big applause. I want to welcome Ken Bisulca. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angela, for having me.
I met you on a stage.
Right.
And you weren't talking about a book. You had a guitar in your hand and you were singing.
I did, yes. I started playing guitar when I was like 8, 9, or 10, something like that. And it was after I saw Beatles on TV back in England, back home. And, of course, I saw it on the big, huge screen TV, black and white, yeah. It was after that my mum bought me my first second-hand guitar, and I fell in love with it, and so I've been playing pretty much ever since.
So yes, I learned you were a singer and a musician first.
Right.
I have to ask, is the dialect real right now?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because I'd say you fake it really well.
No. I wish I did. Yeah.
So you're really from England. You're from Nottingham.
I'm from Nottingham, and then when I was about 12 years old, 13, we moved to the west coast of England, near Blackpool, and then because my dad got a job transfer, and then we moved back to Nottingham, and that's where I spent most of my formative years, as it were.
Well, and you know, the title of your book, Blood in Nottingham. Right. I mean, this is your hometown. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could have written a story about my hometown, because you know, April Rain is my murder mystery, and if I put like the murder in Agawam, Massachusetts, like, what would people think? And I mean, you're talking about your hometown.
Right.
Was there blood in Nottingham?
I'm sure there was at some points. My book takes place in the 1740s, and I set it there because it was in between big war times. It was before the War of Insurrection, you call the American Revolution, and after the War of the Roses, and many of the wars with France, although there were still things going on. But it was kind of a down time for wars, and so that's when I set it. That's when I set my book.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me when authors do pick a different time frame, and you're doing the quantum jump into another reality, because there's research that has to be done. You can't use certain languages in that time. You can't, nobody can have a cell phone in the 1700s, I mean, they can't even have a telephone. So the fact that you have to do the writing to keep it authentic with that time, how difficult is that? How much research did you have to do for that?
A lot of it was I got it from my own history classes, and then I did additional research in various different avenues. I have a History of England text book at home, and which is how I got that particular setting. I also got information on what Nottingham was like, what the cities were like in the 1740s, how they, what the people were thinking about, what the culture
what the fashion
was,
was,
like.
things
Right,
like that.
Exactly.
It's very cool. I mean, you're definitely like I'm going to say a history buff when it comes to like your hometown of Nottingham
Right,
and things.
right.
And you are a college professor, so I
am.
have to ask, like, why aren't you a college professor of history if you're a history buff? I mean, you should be teaching English history, and you're teaching mathematics and chemistry. Like you have this huge spectrum of wisdom, from being a musician to chemistry to math to history to writing. Like, it's huge. So why aren't you teaching history?
Well, I probably could, but I got into education after spending 16 years in the chemical industry. I have a master's in both chemistry and mathematics, and it became a situation where I wanted to get into education because I was doing too much traveling in my job, and so I wanted to spend more time at home. So chemistry and mathematics being the two majors that I had, and English, of course, and history were my hobbies. They were there. And I didn't have a degree in either of them, so teaching either of those would have been. I couldn't have done because of the requirements necessary in order to do that.
Interesting. That's like, me being, crime fighting is my
Right.
hobby.
Ah.
Writing was my hobby, and I was a florist. Which was great for me because as a florist, every day I could go in and we could talk about the headlines and we could, try to solve the crimes and fight crimes.
Yes.
So this particular story that you've written, Blood in Nottingham, it sounds so fascinating. I cannot wait to read it. Because you have crimes that are happening, but you have this group of people who have, I'm going to call them superpowers,
Kind of, yeah.
who can solve the crimes. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be part of that group.
Yes, and there's a special reason. I'm not going to tell you what the reason is.
Okay.
But they have a special reason for having those particular abilities.
I imagine that they do like, what is it called? Like a secret voyeuristic thing where they can see things.
Yeah. Yes,
You
and
know.
I kind of got that from reading Sherlock Holmes because he was very much that way. And I've been to the 221B Baker Street house in London.
Oh my God, I
I've
wanna
been
go
there, and so yeah, I'm my granddad on my mom's side was a lifelong learner, and he's the one who gave me all of these books.
I love that title, lifelong learner. That's what I'm going to be, a lifelong learner.
Yeah, and he only went through the proper 6 year of schooling, and then he had to go to work for his family, but he never stopped learning. He never stopped discovering things. He never stopped reading. So that's kind of where I got my influence from.
Well, and even like when you're talking about I was going to say Sir Isaac Newton. So, yeah, you do
Sir
like
Arthur
him
Conan
too
Doyle.
because
Right.
you're certainly into chemistry. But Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes and all those mysteries like Angela Lansbury,
Right.
things like that. The fact that they're like these great whodunits.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was writing my murder mystery, the audience knows more of what's happening than the characters in the story, which I always when you're watching a show, sometimes that's the case, but you're like,
Right.
how are they going to figure that out? And then you're still trying to figure out the whodunit all along.
Yes.
The fact that you created these characters to have some sort of supernatural ability or powers or just that intuition of trying to solve the crime doesn't give the audience those superpowers.
Right. Exactly right.
So it's very cool that you can show it and still let the audience continue guessing the whodunit.
Yeah. The other thing I tried to do was lead people down blind alleys.
Yeah.
And because you think it's going to go this way, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, it's not.
Yeah.
Now where do we go? And that's kind of that was kind of the fun of doing it that way.
So when you wrote Blood in Nottingham,
Yes.
what was the inspiration for this crime?
Yeah.
Is it from a headline?
No, it was. Again, I started again reading some Sherlock Holmes, and I'm like, and then there were some Gothic novels that or graphic novels.
Yeah, you like the Gothic graphic stuff.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the inspiration, and said, I'm thinking of a mystery with this twist on it, and that bit on. By the way, there are also some naughty bits in the book. I have to tell you. So,
Okay.
So
we got some hot scenes.
yeah, there are. And so how do I do that? And again, so as I would progress through the book, I would get to a point and say, wait a minute, I haven't explained that, and I now have to go back and fill in the spaces to do that, so that once that came up, oh, I remember that from
and it's interesting that you bring that up, because that's part of like the editing or proofreading part, where when you're writing a story, whether you're writing it in like the chronological order, or like I have a book coming out next year that like I like did the outline for it, and sometimes I would just pick a random chapter to write.
Right. Okay.
And then putting it together makes you say, oh, well, I told this in chapter 17, but I got to introduce it a little bit more here. So that's where that editing comes in, and sometimes it's not that hard to do. Like, it's just like a line or two you have to throw in.
Yeah. See, with my maths and science background, I was very concrete sequential.
Okay.
And so did chapter to chapter to chapter to chapter to chapter. So, and that's when I got to, I haven't talked about that before, and then I had to go back and fill in maybe a paragraph or two paragraphs.
Yeah, figure out where it needs to go. That would make sense.
Exactly. Yes.
Especially writing a mystery.
Right.
You have to kind of keep those twists and turns, like you said. Try to get someone to think, oh, let's go down this path, and all of a sudden you got to plant that seed, but then let it go.
Right. Right.
So. I'm going to ask a silly question, but for me, it's. I always am interested. Do you handwrite or do you type or do you dictate? You do type.
Yeah.
Okay, because I always
so
see.
Now, having said that, I do like when I want to put this in here and I'll write it down.
Yeah.
And then like make, as you said, make notes, make chapter notes, make topic notes, that type of thing. But no, I generally type it out. But again, making notes here and there. Oh yeah, I want to add that in.
How long does it marinate in your mind before you're typing it out?
Usually a couple of days, because I'll have it in the back of my head and say, yeah, okay, don't forget, I want to put this in someplace, and so yeah, but yeah, a couple of days, I think.
So yeah, it's interesting because we get the mind that marinates the story, and then the physical working, getting it out of the mind through the fingertips onto the page.
Right.
How long did it take you to write this book?
It's going to sound really weird, but it took me about 4 or 5 months.
No, that's.
And I don't know whether that's normal.
Well, I wrote An Angel's Journey. I wrote in 9 hours.
Okay.
It was binge writing.
Wow.
I took about 2 to 3 weeks to write Dear Baby Get Out. However, the research on it was almost 10 months because it's my pregnancy,
Right.
And then and April Rain took me like 25 years. Like ridiculous. And the book I have coming out next year called Bean in My Breast, that one, it literally probably took me 6-8 months.
Right.
But then I had to sit on it for like 2 years before I could go back to like look at it and, kind of revamp it and things like that. Yes. So it is, every book has the right timing. I have to just, say when the time is right, it happens, because I beat myself up with someone going, I wanted to get that book out 2 years ago, and no, it wasn't the time.
I have a sequel to this one.
Oh.
That and I'm about between 35 and 40% of it is done.
Nice.
And but I've been so busy with my classes at both Western New England and AIC, and then going on holidays and this. I haven't touched it in a while. So I am this Christmas holiday, because I'm off now. I know.
Well, that's how I got you in the studio, because I knew it's hard to get you in the studio when you're teaching classes.
So I am going to be working on it quite a lot.
I want to be English. I'm going to call it the Christmas holiday. I want to have holidays. Why don't we talk like that in America? Not necessarily the accent, but just treating it like a holiday.
Right.
It's like, it's Christmas break. Like what? We're breaking our life in half. Like, no, it's a holiday. Take the time off and and enjoy it and
Right.
make the most of it. I'm a graduate of Western New England
All right. That's
College.
Okay. Yeah.
Not
yeah.
the university,
Right.
which it's all one and the same now.
Now,
But
yeah,
of
right.
course, us who were part of when it was Western New England College like to
Yes.
still call it the college,
Right.
even though they've transferred to Western New England University. So yeah, I mean, I graduated many moons ago, so I didn't have you as a college professor, but I just think I would have loved to. It'd been so fascinating.
Yeah, and it's funny because I taught 3 sections of pre-calculus and 1 of statistics this past semester at Western New England University, and it's funny because when I got the classes, the department head told me that that pre-calculus class, everybody struggles with it. It's going to have blah blah blah. I had such great classes, and
Really?
and I was even asked, how do you do that? Everybody else has had struggles with it, and you've had 5-6 people in the class who've gotten A's rather than.
Wow.
Well, what are you doing? And basically, I told them that on the very first day, and I'm not going to do this online, but I'll go up to the board and purposely make an error. Purposely make an error.
Yeah.
I made a mistake, and and of course I'll hear in the back, and then I'll go over to one of the people in the class and go, he said, and the whole class breaks up. But what that does, and again, I've never taken a psychology course, but I apparently am very psychologically.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to loosen everything.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It brings the stress level.
Yeah,
completely
I mean, because
down.
calculus is a very stressful subject, and
Yeah,
you
and-
go in like on guard, you
Right,
know.
right. But
I did not like calculus.
But I said I had 4, and 3 students in each of those 3 classes who've gotten A's, which were exempt from the final exam.
That's nice.
So and it was just,
Well, they do say, I have read where if you're more relaxed in an environment that you're
Right.
learning, you absorb more.
oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, if you're tense and stressed and you're like feeling, oh my God, I got to memorize this, and you're, writing all these, taking 1,000 notes, you're getting you're learning from the professor, but you're writing it down and then you're just walking away. And
Right.
it's like you're not absorbing it.
Yeah.
So there is definitely something. So kudos to you for doing that for sure.
One of the things, I'm sorry, just
No,
quickly,
no.
One of the things that I tell them, and I say this multiple times, there's more than one way to get to Boston than just the Mass Pike, and I will show them 2 and 3 different ways of doing the same problem and getting the same answer at the end. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah, and the other thing is, and again, just from a humor standpoint, if you have a fraction with a 0 down below, I say you can't have a 0 down below or the whole universe falls apart, and everybody laughs. But I say that 3 or 4 times during the course of the semester, and all of a sudden now they'll say, "Oh, 0 in the denominator. Okay,
You just remember
whole
it.
universe falls apart.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Yeah.
And so those are the kind of the little things.
I mean, look,
that-
you just taught me that now. That's it.
Yeah,
I just had a pre-calculus class tutor.
So just doing things, and I get a tremendous satisfaction from having difficult topics and difficult subjects being presented in a way that my students can understand.
So, and math is very relatable to mysteries.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, because with math, there's always that black and white answer.
Yes.
In mystery, there's the black and white answer. So it's very similar. I was an accounting major, so I
Okay.
think that's why, I like
Right.
this stuff, because that there is a solution, but
Yes.
how you get to that solution can have different ways.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not just like a
Absolutely.
straight, this is who did it and this
Yeah.
is how. No, I mean, there's all these little paths that you can take.
Right.
And I can see, I didn't see it at first, but now I can see why you wrote mystery and you wrote a mathematics book. Because at first I'm like, you wrote a mathematics textbook? And then, and a murder mystery, which gets me excited. But now I'm like excited to even look at your mathematics book, because I'm thinking if it's any like how you teach, I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah.
And is it something that people are using in the school systems?
I've presented it to the Springfield school system. They haven't adapted it yet, but they're contemplating.
All right.
doing
Well,
it.
listen, Springfield school systems, all the school systems. I mean, just the way he's teaching and how he's writing and how he's presenting. We definitely need to look at this. What's the name of the textbook?
It's just called General Mathematics for high school students.
Nice. Well, that's very interesting. So that was that your first book that you wrote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you write it because you wanted to write it, or you were commissioned to write it?
No. I saw it was being presented and how it was being presented in a certain way that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
And so I thought I could do better, and so that's when I put this thing together. And again, yes, you're right. It's kind of the same way I teach and speak and present material. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, I had a professor on, or a teacher from a prep school on, who teaches music.
Yeah.
And his textbook, like, it's amazing. I mean, his name's Ron Castaway, and I wish I could remember what episode he's on, but I'll put it in the link. But like the way he presents how to teach music, I mean, he gets the kids from all different avenues, and
Sure.
and I'm just like, and that's the thing, is if you think you have a way to teach someone better, I mean, everyone's always like, oh, I could do that better. Well, then do it. Write the textbook, and there you go. And that's how you do it.
Right.
All right, let's go back to Blood in Nottingham.
Yes.
And it's
yes,
Blood in the Midlands
Blood
is
in the
the
Midlands,
subtitle. When you were writing this, did you know you were going to publish it?
I thought about that, yes, and because I liked the characters that I developed, and thought it would be something of interest to a lot of people. So yes, I did think about publishing it, and I didn't know how to go about doing that.
Well, I didn't know if you had an audience in mind, because some people, they'll write a story just because they need to write a story, especially if it's a memoir, things like that. I mean, this isn't a memoir. Well, maybe it's a little bit of a memoir because it does have your history of your town in there, so a little bit of you is definitely in there with your dialect and your accent and your history.
Right.
But then you have your creativity and all of the different authors, and I'm going to say even entertainers that have, influence you to enjoy the graphic writing.
Right.
Because when you're writing about a murder, there's definitely graphics in there.
Yeah.
And like you said, I like how you said there's some naughty bits in there. There's some naughty bits in there. So like having that creative energy to put in there, I was just curious, like, did you know you were gonna, who you were writing for, like what the audience was? Because when I write for myself sometimes. Like I'm like, okay, I'm the audience. I need to find out who did this, like who did this crime. Were you surprised who did it?
I had kind of I had a character list.
Okay.
And and these were the characters, and at the end, this was the person that actually did it. So I had that right in the beginning.
Okay.
And then, then I went through all the machinations for, how that character, did I have that person, him or her, appear too much? Did I have it not enough? Did I give too much away? So just making sure that it was something that. But yes, I had a character list.
Well, it is interesting when you have your character list next to you, and sometimes when you're writing, I feel like I have to go look at the characters.
Yes, I know. I did the same.
Who do I want to have in this?
Right.
Or who did I talk to last time? So besides writing Blood in Nottingham and your mathematics book, and music that you're doing, but you've also write a lot of short stories.
I do.
And are they out there in the world for people to read?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I haven't put them out there yet.
You should enter some of these contests or magazines and things like that. A lot of magazines look for short stories, and be cool, because then if you put your short story in, at the bottom, you have your little this is written by who's also the author of Blood in Nottingham. So it kind of gives you that little plug for someone to go find more of your work. So.
Yeah.
Because once you write a book, and then you publish it, the hardest thing sometimes is getting word out there.
Exactly right.
Hey, I wrote a book, you should read it. Please read it. Please buy this book. you're begging friends and family and, the universe, and it's, marketing it is tough.
Yes, it is.
What are some ways that you market your book?
Well, when I published it, they had a marketing program, and so they did much of the marketing for it.
Nice.
So that was a big help.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't know how, what, where, when, that type of thing.
But you're still doing, like, you'll do book events and things like that, like, local signings, local things, which we all need to do. And it's fun to do because I feel like when I do that, I meet other authors. And, it's like there's, people sometimes they think like, especially like as a florist, people are like, oh, you're friends with that other florist? Like there's competition. And it's like, no, I mean, we're authors. It's like, I'm like so grateful to talk to another writer because it makes me feel normal. Like, really, you sit up at night and think about, a murder? And, it's like, yes, this is fascinating.
In addition to that, same thing, I didn't play music for 20 years. And it was then I picked it up again, picked up the guitar again, and wound up going to open mics, which is where I met Casey Danick. Was at the open mics about between 15 and 20 years ago.
And so Casey and you are part of a band together.
We're just called Ken Casey Duo.
Ken Casey Duo, yeah.
And and we do play around the area.
Yeah, I got to videotape you, and I sent it to Casey. Casey is a fabulous cameraman, and he is a great editor. And he took the footage I gave him and kind of created something with it.
Yeah, so, it was really super.
Yeah,
really
it's very cool because I was like trying to take different angles, and I've been like just dabbling with filming, people to. Like I don't know if I'm necessarily a filmmaker to do the camera work, but I'm trying.
Absolutely.
I mean, Casey Danick, he's been my cameraman when I've done Out and About with Angela Grout, little serious things. So, I mean, he's, again, I always find that people who do one thing are so talented that they do multiple things. So, yeah, maybe I can put the link to your music. And we're going to have lots of links on here, so please check them out. So, Ken, where can they find your book?
It's available on Amazon,
okay.
And then if you even just Google "Blood in Nottingham," that's the first thing that pops up. So,
okay.
So yes.
All right. Well, go to Amazon, buy the book, read it, leave a review.
Yes, please.
Really trying to like put that out there because reviews are very helpful on Amazon. And number one, but number two. Social media and the spread. If you're reading a book, it's so helpful to go on social media and go, oh, I just read this book, Blood in Nottingham, and your friends and family may be curious also about it if it's their genre. So
yes.
So Ken, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This
has been so great. I really appreciate it. And again, I thank Studio 954 and you, the listening audience, for tuning in each week to find out who the guest is going to be and what they're writing and how they've written it, why they've written it, and where you can get their book. So, I know that this episode has been super informative in so many ways, and I certainly thank you for subscribing to the channel and for constantly, just being a support to me because I'm doing what I love, not just writing, but meeting other authors and learning why they're writing because it's very important because we all have that story inside of us. This is the point of the program where, I'm going to give you a writing prompt. And, we're talking about murder and mysteries today. And, have you ever thought about writing a mystery? Let's think about it. I took a class once with James Patterson, and I have to tell you, he gave me this prompt, which I'm going to give you today, because it was very helpful when I was creating April Rain, and it definitely gives you different avenues to kind of float down. So, the prompt was, consider a murder mystery. Consider some sort of mystery, whether it's something you've seen in the newspaper, something you've created in your own mind, something that's happened in your own life. Think about that mystery. Think about what it is, write it down. And then I want you to make a list of how it could have happened. Like when I was doing April Rain, it was inspired by a murder that happened in my town. We wanted to know why this girl was murdered. And literally I came up with this list, and the first thing on it was she was abducted by aliens. Then I had 3 hobos hopped off a train and abducted her. I had it was a mafia hit. I had it was an accidental murder. I make this list of what could have happened. Make your list like that. And then find, as James Patterson recommended, find the most outrageous one. Of course, for me, it was aliens abducted her. Try to write about it for 10 minutes. If you can write about it for 10 minutes and you're enjoying it, then keep going. You're going to have a story. If you don't like it, pick the next outrageous one and start writing for 10 more minutes. And maybe you're going to have a story. And maybe that story is going to solve the mystery of, who knows, where your lost keys are or who killed the girl down the street. So there's your writing prompt for today. I am so excited that you tune in and take part in these writing prompts and listen to the show. Have a great day. I will see you on the next episode of Why Write. See ya.